So this is a jig, a well-known jig, which is in English called variously the Monk's Jig, the Reverend Brother's Jig, and recently it's a great favourite of Tony MacMahon. On one of his recent recordings, he called it Brother Gildas's Jig. So I like that as a name. It associates it with a person, Brother Gildas, who was a piper, if I'm not mistaken. So let's call it Brother Gildas's Jig. Okay, let's have a look now at the first part. So the thing to remember about this first part of the tune is that all the little variations, permutations, different ways that people have of playing this tune, you're basically stating an ascending phrase in the first part. If you took it down to long notes, it would be A, C, natural, D, E, and that's our starting point. So listen to different people playing and see how they play around with that basic ascending phrase. And let's play around with it a bit ourselves now. Let's start a la Tony MacMahon with a pickup note of E. And for our A phrase, we're going to play C, A, B. For our C phrase, we're going to play C, D, E. For our D phrase, we might play 3 Ds, or we might play D, C, D. And for our E phrase, we could play E, G, E, or just a long E sometimes. So pickup note. Or if we hold the E. Alright, there's our first phrase. Now the repeat, we'll do it slightly differently. Instead, our A phrase will be, let's do a long A or 3 A's. And then for our C phrase, it's the same. Our D phrase is descending this time, because we want to finish on this cadence of A, G, E to finish. So repeat the A. Alright, so far we've got now let's repeat that phrase, and this time let's play A, G, A, C, B, C, and then our ending tag will be so. I think what I've shown you so far is this. I didn't show you that. Instead of playing, you could play. Okay, let's do that again. You get the idea. Either of those will do. Alright, now we could just repeat that whole thing, but let's do something different again. Let's try that for a starter. So I hope that gives you an idea of the different things you can do without being too confusing. But if you always play the same phrase, ascending phrase the same way, it'll get very boring very quickly. So you need to have at least some of those options up your sleeve to make the tune interesting. Okay, let's go on to part 2. So the second part is based around something like this. This little phrase, E-A-A-A. Lots of grace notes here to make the thing jump out. Second phrase, we go down. Second phrase. Repeat the first phrase. And then. So that's a bare bones version. But of course we're going to mix it up a little bit. Instead of playing all these, we'll use grace notes to make it jump out and sparkle a little bit. But instead of playing, we can sometimes play a long note. We can sometimes dip, melodian style, dip down to the lower octave. I like that. And sometimes for the final one we could play. So, using a few of those ideas, we might get something like this. And on the subject of these alternating octaves, the thing I like to do sometimes is to, instead of ending there for one of the cadences, I go down to G. And this takes us to so. Makes a bit of change from you can play or and don't forget these little slides you can do with the outer O. So there's some ideas for the second part. So I hope you've enjoyed this tune. I'll try and play it once through for you now.